Hey, welcome back. Wild to see our faces in the studio again. It didn't feel like it would ever happen.
What was like one off, one on, one off, one on, I think.
Yeah, it just felt like a tiring month of traveling and trying to piece together episodes while we can while we're home. And
now imagine being a soccer player.
Yeah, I could. I don't think I could. But yeah, welcome to episode 76 at this point. If you follow us, if you listen to these weekly or sporadically at all, just follow us on Twitter. It's the best place to find all of our stuff. It's where you'll find links to everything. If you listen to podcasts, just audio only, you'll find us anywhere that you find your other podcasts. And obviously, if you want to see our beautiful faces and our ever-changing outfits, go to YouTube at Post 90 Podcast.
Yeah, and this is a bit of a impromptu episode. I feel like after our last one, we kind of left it as people wouldn't hear from us until after this midweek that we have against Charlotte at RBA. But I think this one sort of called, I think, emotionally for us to get on air and talk a little bit about like what we saw.
For different reasons. I think you have...
I just think you
have a villain, I have...
different villain?
A different villain and a kind of a group of villains, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
But if you'd like to go first, I think, we'll open it right up.
I mean, really what ultimately, spurred me to want to make the episode was to talk about what was us seeing players like infighting between our players. That's obviously something that we've never seen from NYCFC before. At least that I don't know if you recall anything quite like that. Nothing that...
I mean, we're usually the team... I'm like... I don't even want to use the word extreme. I think we kind of see this thing a little bit differently. So I think for the first time, it's kind of rare that we see the same situation differently. So I'm definitely interested in seeing your opinion, but I don't quite see it the same.
I see it multiple ways. Like when I first saw it, I was like, that's really not good. But then at the same time, it was like, but it's good that they care and that they're like showing passion. But ultimately, like, my villain, essentially, to use your words, is Maxi in this situation. I started thinking about how there's been a lot of rumors about him wanting to go back to his home afterwards, and I mean, not even just rumors. I mean, he was in an interview talking about how that's something that he's gonna like to do December when his contract ends. And I was just thinking, like, think of like when you put like a 2 weeks in at a job. You know what I mean? Like, you're not showing up for some shifts, like you really don't care, about what you're doing when you're there. And I'm not gonna blow this fight up and do the media spin cycle to get clicks and get people excited. But like, this wasn't the first time where I noticed, like, Maxi, I feel like a little more aggressive with our own guys than I've seen him in the past. I mean, even in that game, like, there was not the Alfredo missed pass that ended up, as you said before we recorded, costing us the game. But like, Alfredo like misplaced just a random pass. Like, we didn't even lose possession off it, like in the midfield, or he like didn't pass it to Maxi or something, and Maxi like threw his arm up at him and is like barking at him. And it's like, I just can't recall a time where I've seen that from Maxi before. And I don't know if I'm just like looking for it because of the other thoughts I have. But yeah,
I mean, me personally, and this is not me trying to gaslight you or anything like that. I just think personally, you may be a little hurt with the news that he says he may want to go home at some point. I see that and I go, honestly, respect. Like, you're as a player, you're getting older. You want to play ball, but that you may not be at the level of NYCFC. Mm-hmm. Obviously, when you're getting older, you keep getting older. I go back to his words after the cup, and them talking about his future after the cup, and it was very much I want to be at NYCFC for the rest of my life. I want to bring this club trophies, and I want to bring this club to the top.
So what is it that changed? Tati leaving?
Like, well, that's I'll get to that.
180? Like,
I'll get to
so
the Tati
quickly.
part, but I think it's just a realization that he's getting older. His legs,
frustration with himself
may not
maybe
be there. But I think with his attitude and him barking at Santi, I personally saw that as competitors being competitive.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that as a leader trying to reclaim a locker room, because Tati did become a huge leader in that locker room, and obviously losing that, somebody else has to step up, back up, and be that guy. So if Maxi's the oldest in there,
that's one of the weird things I feel about Maxi too. I mean, I think he has been a leader to an extent in our locker room, but like
kind of a quiet leader.
Yeah, when you think of like a Cam or like a center midfielder now, his like number 8 role that Cushing has been trying to fit him in occasionally, and then also, you know, the oldest guy in the locker room. When we've had some issues with like players misbehaving, like on the field, like Thiago with the headbutt, or when we lost Efrain, everybody, it was like panic mode. It's like, what are we gonna do? And I always have thought, or with Sean becoming captain, I was how never has Maxi been a solution to, and I'm sure he has, like quietly within the player group and not so much media facing, but like I just feel like we would maybe be a little bit more aware of it if like he was actually the solution to all of these like leadership problems that we've seen from time to time.
Yeah, I think it's him taking a step forward towards it. It doesn't mean necessarily that that's how the players see it or that's how the coaching staff sees it. But he's a tenacious dude. We saw him fight Dax McCarthy. Mm-hmm. And he had no problem getting in there and trying to scrap it out. So, you know, if he's not seeing what he wants from Santi, whether that be effort or, you know, doing the right assignment, I mean, I just, like I said, I saw it as competitors being competitive.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that that's as damaging as, you know, other parts of the community, and obviously not saying names or anything, but there's certain,
I mean, the Twitter world was on fire.
And it has been, and it kind of gets this way, you know, every time we lose a couple games in a row. And I just sit back and I think, like, do we not know this league? Do we not know this team? Mm-hmm. We are not Arsenal fan TV. We are not those fan bases that need to lose control on Twitter just because we're bored and it's hot outside. Yeah,
and I think, you know, we talked about it in our last episode, and I think I mentioned it to Michael Allen on Twitter, but like I think we said it last week, like we were due for one more downturn before the season ends. Like that, I mean, unfortunately, like as a club,
it's how it is.
It's perennial. We do it every single year. It happens right before the playoffs. It gets everybody on the ship scared, including us. I mean, we've been at the middle of that downturn when it's 3 games deep of losses or of poor performances, and like there's 3 more coming and we don't even know about it yet, and the playoff is in like 8 weeks, and that was sort of like the situation last year. And it's like, I'll be honest, it is tough to still remain seeing that light at the end of the tunnel, but yeah, it's just, I mean, I can see both sides. Sometimes I'm more level-headed than other times. You know, it really depends, like, how long has it been since I just watched the game, and, you know, what happened in that game ultimately and stuff. But it's crazy being a fan.
Me personally, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's a crazy life.
I just personally think that it's not doomsday. And you know, Michael Allen, I'll back him to the end of the world. So, typically, if he's on one side of things, that's right where you'll find me.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to the game itself, like I think we can probably fit in a little bit of time about analysis of that, because I do think there's some stuff to talk about. I know you mentioned like Alfredo kind of had not the best game. I mean, from who I would say in our lineup is Mr. Consistency, it was a tough game for him.
It was a tough game. You know, obviously you don't want to highlight one player in one moment and say that's why we lost the game. You know, Tales, if he wraps his foot around that initial chance, maybe it's a draw. You know, these little things, Santi doesn't hit the post.
If the ref had eyes.
Not a draw. Yeah, so it's like all these things, all these factors, and you know, at the end of the day, the only thing I could really look at and say that probably caused a lot of our problems. Again, I'd go back to the defense. I've been saying it, you know, now 3 episodes in a row. Not so much the players this time. I do think Cushing is playing with fire, playing such a high line and we're not finishing our chances right now. So it's kind of like we keep playing this gamble, but the gamble's not paying off, and it's causing us to absorb a lot of pressure, and in my opinion, unneeded pressure, and then you're putting those players out to dry, really.
And that's it felt like watching at times a 2020 NYCFC, which was I tweeted it, and I think I talked about it online in a couple places, but it's like it was that 2020 vintage NYCFC where we used to have such an issue of being like a team that we still do. We're much better than typically what it looks like on the table or on any given result, because our defense has a way of just like flicking the light switch off for 10 seconds and they turn it back on and the team is up a goal.
Yep.
And then they do that in this game anyways. They did it twice. And all of a sudden, really 3 times. If we say between Alfredo's, back pass going astray, that could be, unfocused for 1 second and you're down a goal because of it. And then, Thiago and Malt not stepping on Pozuelo.
Yep.
And, when
so much
Sean
space.
with his history of long shots. And, Sean had absolutely no chance, so I don't even really want to bring him up on it.
History of scoring on us. That ball has a magnet to our net.
And then I think a massive issue that we've had in the past, and we haven't seen it in a while, is doing the thing where we think the ref should be making a call or blowing a play dead and not
continuing to play.
And then all of a sudden the ball is in the back of our net. In 2020 that had to be responsible for like 20 points, like at least. Like they would just stop playing it. What was it wasn't it the Atlanta playoff game in 2020 when we got eliminated? Remember, they didn't blow the play dead and they swung a ball in quick, and I think Joseph scored on us, and like everybody's looking around and they're like, we didn't even think like the game was going. It was like, but it was going. Like,
but it was
why
going,
weren't
so
you?
Get into position.
And so Yedlin's on the ground and Malt's on the ground, and all of a sudden Higuain is kicking the ball in the back of the net and everybody's raising off sides. It's like you just have to, I feel like, professionally, and this is something that's fixed with coaching and focus. That's the good thing, is like it's never a talent issue with NYCFC, and these are the things that can be ironed out with reps and with Cushing getting in their ears and the training staff getting in their ears and being like, we can't do that. Like,
that can't happen, and you can't be on the field ever if you're doing that.
Like, it can't happen one time, because one goal is too much if we don't have a Tati banging them away sometimes. So that at least is a little bit, that kind of drives some of the optimism that I have, because our issues are not issues that are like unfixable.
Yeah, I don't know, but
they're so easily fixable.
It's like a tactical adjustment here, a little bit of rest and desire here,
and a striker just getting in form or confident. Like
even Santi was making runs.
Mm-hmm.
GP
was crazy.
Was finding
bro.
people like he's
different.
I've never seen that one initial pass into Santi to then off the post, off the hand and off the post. Had that gone in, that's literally our goal of the season almost, I'd say. So it's not even like that. That's where I go back to the people complaining in doomsday and it's over. It's like, where are you seeing that on the field? I get it with Cushing. You may not like his high line. You may not like his tactics. It'll iron out. We're gonna be in the playoffs, and we're gonna push. Do I expect us to repeat? I think I'd be insane too, but I think we have the talent to.
One thing I did hear, I popped in a Spaces after the game, and it was mentioned that the only way it's not Cushing out is if we don't make an appearance in the semis. How do you feel about that? I feel like that, I don't know. Not Cushing, obviously there's no chance that Cushing is not a CFG employee, like probably ever again in his life, unless it's his choice. It would definitely be like a demotion, but so instead of framing it as Cushing out, maybe it's NYCFC isn't going into the off season looking for other options, unless he doesn't make it to a semis. What do you think about that? I almost agree.
I kind of agree, just only on the outlook of the Eastern Conference as a whole. You know, I think that we are the best team in the East.
Yeah.
I know that there's other teams that are higher than us right now and better form than us right now. I just purely on a talent standpoint, just that alone, there's nobody better than us.
100%.
I think unless, you know, Miami gets into real serious form.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they may be too far gone.
Toronto.
If they get into serious form.
Yeah. Which they're both working on it.
They both have a lot of talent.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we should definitely be making moves in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Do I expect it though? Like if we go out earlier than that,
Mm-hmm.
I would chalk it up and be like, dude, we won the chip last year. I mean, what could you actually expect?
Won the chip, lost your manager, and your
best striker,
and your team MVP, your Golden Boot league winner. Like,
and who knows, you know, when our best defender will be back.
And yeah,
although he's on a bike, but you know.
Yeah, Collins. Yeah, I think they said the timetable was unknown, and obviously Tavon picked up a knock too. But Tinnerholm is allegedly good to go.
I like Acevedo right back personally.
Bro, I
love Acevedo right back.
How was Acevedo the best defender in that game?
Just
Makes no sense. Makes no sense.
And he even had either an assist or a key pass on the Thiago Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
So, dude,
he was up to something.
Everybody, it's all right.
11 games.
We've been through forms like this before.
11 games.
We've got time to right the ship. We've got playoffs. We've got all of these things in front of us. Yes, obviously, if we continue this form, it's not going to be pretty. Mm-hmm. But I don't see it that way. I don't see it happening that way.
Yeah, and depending on when people hear this, I mean, I'm excited for the Charlotte game that will be tomorrow for listeners on Wednesday, because obviously they're coming up to us in RBA, and then
we're going to them.
Well, yeah, we're going to them at the away game.
Going to them.
Yeah, we are driving. I think it's just over 12 hours down to Charlotte FC Stadium. I think it's the Panthers stadium, but let's catch them in person. I think that. I mean, that's our first serious away days that we've participated in. We went to New England, but you know that's
not really a drive.
That's as close as
away
Yankee
days
Stadium.
To that extent are different.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, that should be a crazy environment. I mean, I think they packed like 40,000 people in there. Not that they'll do it this time.
We'll be louder than those 40,000.
Yeah. So if anybody's going to that too, we'll obviously see you there. We're trying to get support our away fan supporter section tickets, so you will catch us there.
Yes. So we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, I think
our next.
I would say there's another game Sunday. I don't know.
We'll see.
We might group this and the Sunday game together. Maybe you'll hear us after
it
Charlotte.
Depends if something insane happens.
If players are fighting again on the field and we have stuff to say.
Maybe it'll take Maxi like punching Cushing in the mouth for us to get on here again.
Well, you probably won't hear from us then because I highly doubt that will happen.
So,
but yeah, we'll catch you guys next time.
Peace.